introduction, then process of communication, barriers in communication, then strategies for effective communication. So let's start with the introduction part. As far as the process of communication is concerned, it is a this a dynamic and ongoing and ever-changing process. And in this process, we are using some terms which are very important as far as the to understand the process of communication is concerned. And these terms are the sender, the message, the channels, receiver, noise, and the feedback. So these are also known as the the elements of communication. Okay. Importantly, in this lecture, we are going to examine these elements in detail, and we are trying to understand the type of interrelationship between them also. So let's first look on the source or the sender. Yes, the source is the important factor, because when we are conveying any message to somebody, that means as a sender we are the source. So the source of communication is the sender, who has a message to impart, who wants to communicate something to somebody else, right? So the sender has to decide how to communicate a message. That's important, that sender has to decide that in which way we have to communicate a message, and after that which channel is to be selected for sending that particular message, and what type of strategies should be planned so that the message makes the desired responses also. Yes, responses are very much important. When a sender is sending a message to the receivers, and the sender provides both the cues in the case of this verbal and the non-verbal cues that can be received, and further we are interpreted and responded to the by the receivers also. Okay. Secondly, we have very important aspect, that is the message. Yes, message is what? Message is a set of signs and symbols which are given by the source to create meanings for the receiver. Yes, that's important, because simply putting the message is not the concerned with the appropriate meaning and the appropriate purpose. So simply put, message is the content which is shared between the participants in the communication process. Yes, we have several participants in the communication process. We have a sender, we have a channels, we have a receivers. Okay, so to make the message effective, the sender has to understand the nature and the profile of the receiver of the message. That's important, because every receiver has a distinct nature and the profile, and his her needs and expectations are different, and possible response to the message is very important, because whenever you are teaching to the students in the classroom, though their needs are different, okay, their expectations are different, so you need to communicate in such a way that everybody has to understand what you are conveying to your students in a very layman way. So this is important in both face to face as well as mediated situation also. So message is important. The message should be simple, right? The word association of the message should be easily understandable by the receiver, and that's the important factors. Either you are understanding the receivers in the form of through the signs and symbols, but that should be very particular and the visible also. Okay, so that the second element of this process of communication. Then we have a channel. Yes, the channel is the medium used to communicate a message from the sender to the receiver. Okay, and in today's scenarios, with the prevalent of the modern communication also, the channel could be the spoken word, the printed words we are having, the electronic media we are having, even non-verbal signs, gestures, body language, facial expressions, etc. These are the part and parcel of the channel. And in modern communication, the word channel mostly refers to mass communication such as the newspaper, radio, television, and internet. Okay. Then we have a receiver. This communication cannot take place without a receiver, for whom the message is meant. Yes, obviously we need a receiver who receive the message, and we receive a message. After that, we are interpreting this message in a many ways, and we are deriving meaning from it. Right? We are trying to understand the meaning of the message, and we are deriving something out of it. So in the interpersonal communication, the receiver shares a close relationship with the sender, which gradually gets diluted in group and mass communication. Yes, try to understand when we are communicating interpersonally, right? If there are a limited number of participants in the group, right, and the sender wants to send some messages to the limited number of groups, okay, it is prominently, is important, and it is easily understandable, conveniently understandable. But when we are talking in the group and to the mass communication, so gradually the relationship between the sender and the receiver are diluted. Okay, so that's important in the case of the sender and receiver interrelationships. Then we have a noise. That's another factor, because out of the various models which are defined and derived by the experts, one of the major factor in the distortion in the communication process is the noise. So the noise is the distortion in a message which affects the flow of communication, and noise could be due to this internal as well as the external sources. Okay, there are many sources are there which are affecting the noise and this communication process. So noise creates what? Noise creates barriers in the communication, and it could be of many types. Okay. Then we have a feedback. There's the response which is given by the receiver to the message of the sender is known as the feedback. Yes, we need certain feedback whether we understand well the message which a sender wants to convey to the receiver. So communication being a two-way process, it's not the one-way process. So without the element of feedback, any discussion on the process of communication is incomplete. Yes, we need to have the feedback while we are delivering and the sharing certain communication, certain information to the receivers. So the element of feedback gets gradually diluted when the number of participants in the communication activity increases. Okay. Now we talked about these barriers in communication, that what are the various barriers while we are communicating with the people, okay, while we are communicating in the group, while we are communicating in the to the masses. Okay, so there are a number of barriers which are affecting the communication process, and these barriers are, that's the first is the physical barriers. Yes, so physical barriers, if the source is not visible to the receiver, and he is not comfortable in the environment, it may create barriers in the communication. For example, this geographical distance may also create barriers, as people may like to communicate with one another, but due to physical distances may not be able to do so. But nowadays, due to the prevalence of these new technologies and the information communication technologies, the physical barriers are now a little bit reduced as far as the internet facility is concerned. Right, we have several options available on the the WhatsApp, also the teleconferencing we can do. So physical barriers, but the factor of noise is there as far as the technological hindrances are concerned. So we cannot forget the technological hindrances. The internet connectivity also creates the problems, but somehow physical barriers are a little bit improved in the case of these barriers in communication. Then we have these psychological barriers. Yes, due to individual differences, attitudes, interest, and motivation levels, we perceive things and situations differently. Definitely, because every individual has certain attitude, certain personality level, certain interest, and the motivation levels. So we perceive things and situations differently. So due to this, this is a barrier in the communication. And apart from this, the varied levels of anxiety. Yes, anxiety, we have a fear factor, right? We have an inherent prejudices, and the previous experiences also create barriers in the communication. Okay, if you are not confident, and if you want to convey something to your peer groups, okay, to your bosses, to your official groups. So sometimes due to the anxiety and fear, you are not able to communicate. That is what? That is the psychological barriers. Okay. Then we have these socio-cultural barriers. In communication process, socio-cultural barriers are also operate as every country has following this its own languages and in the case of the speaking, writing, etc. And some societies are less vocal, which may affect their level of communication with those from other cultures who are more vocal or aggressive in behavior. Okay, so socio-cultural barriers, the language problems are the hindrances. Suppose if you are going to the south and you are not understanding the Tamil or Telugu, okay, and they people only understand the English, and you are not well versed with the English. So that is what, that is a part of these socio-cultural barriers. Okay. Then linguistic barriers during the process of communication. We are having certain faulty expressions sometimes. We are having the poor translations. We are having the verbosity. We are having the ambiguous words and inappropriate vocabulary create the barriers. Okay, so linguistic barriers both in the spoken and the written. That's are the important factor. And a simple, the change of word can create the problems also. Okay, so that is the barrier, and the receiver cannot easily understand all those things well. Okay, moreover, words and symbols used to communicate facts and information may mean different things to the different persons. Yes, definitely. When we are symbolically try to understand somebody to something, okay, and the receiver is not able to understand or grab this linguistic barriers, okay, and the words we are using. Suppose we are using the difficult words, the receiver might not be able to understand that difficult word. So that's also creates the problem, and this is a huge barrier in the communication. Then we have a technical barriers. Yes, while using technology, technical barriers also make the process of communication complex. Yes, when audio quality is poor or video signals are weak, during the communication nowadays, due to the COVID-19 problem, this our major tasks are online. Okay, we are connected with the Zoom meetings, the Google meeting, and the Microsoft Teams, etc. But sometimes due to the poor signal quality, with the audio quality is not good, sometimes video quality is not good, signals are weak, so the message may not clearly reach the target group effectively. That is again, it's a kind of these technical barriers. So erratic power supply also creates barriers in the communication. Then information load barrier. Yes, at times too much information is imparted, which we may not able to comprehend and assimilate. If we are overloaded with the information, this information we are not able to convey well to the audiences. Okay, so that's creating a barrier in the communication. So to illustrate, in a meeting, when a speaker provides information at a fast pace, suppose you are speaking fastly in a meeting and for considerable period of time, many of the issues and concepts may get lost at the end. Okay, the receiver is not able to get well all the information because due to the overloaded information which is conveyed by the sender to the receiver. That's also the one of the barriers in the communication, right? Then how we can improve and how we can have the effective communication criteria. That's also important. That's an important concern rather. So let's look at the strategies for an effective communication. And these are the strategies that we must have a clarity of message, then reinforcement of ideas, then we must use the appropriate channel, then the motivation is also important, then proper environment, feedback. Okay. So let's take the look on the clarity of message. So in any type of communication, it is important that the objective of communication is well defined. Yes. So the level of language is kept simple, brief and clear. It has been found that most of the complex ideas can be presented simply. Yes, definitely. The most complex ideas shall be presented simply in a simpler way. And we should adopt the short and simple sentences which can express an idea completely, coherently, and cognitively. Right? So, too many conjunctions make a sentence complex and difficult to understand. So proper phrasing, punctuation, emphasis, voice modulations, facilities clarity of message and increases the impact of communication. Then we have a second concern, that is the reinforcement of ideas. So for clarity of the message, an element of redundancy needs to be introduced. Yes. Difficult or technical words or expressions need to be substituted with simpler expressions and words of everyday usage. Yes. However, care needs to be taken to see that the message does not become repetitive and boring. Okay, so the level of audience needs to be constantly kept in mind. Yes, whenever you are floating an idea and wants to convey something, you need to know that the level of audience, and you have to kept in your mind that what kind of expressions, either in the form of the difficult or technical words, you wants to convey, that should be in a simpler expressions, and the words which you are using, that the words are used every day in the life of the people. Then appropriate channel requires this, depending upon the type and objective of communication. Selection of appropriate channel is crucial for the success of any communication. So the use of technology also helps to overcome what? These geographical barriers. But for selecting a particular channel, especially the more expensive one, some questions need to be constantly asked, such as why this channel? Why I am using only this channel? That's important. Is there any specific need? Or will it help to meet the objective of communication? Is it possible to avoid unnecessary investment? And so on. So we have to find the alternatives for the appropriate channel to convey our messages. So many a time, a simple channel may convey a message more effectively as compared to the more glamorous ones. So that's again, it's the need of the sender and the receiver while we are depending and deciding about the appropriate channel. So that is more important in the case of the strategies for effective communication. Then yes, motivation is important. Motivation also helps to remove some of the barriers, yes, especially the psychological and socio-cultural barriers. So the receivers in the communication process need to be encouraged to express their views, opinions, and doubts. So they need to be drawn into the interactive process by persuading them to pose questions. Yes, appreciation of their receivers' views increases their self-esteem and builds the confidence. That's important. Motivation is the key. Then we need a proper environment, proper sitting arrangements, visibility of our sources, and relatively comfortable environment facilitate communication. So this is especially conducive in what situation? In overcoming some of the physical barriers, as we have already discussed, right? Then the feedback. Again, the feedback is an integral component of any communication activity. Regular feedback at appropriate levels facilitates understanding of the needs and views of the receivers. Yes. So it helps to bridge the gaps, if any is there, in the communication approach and improves the process of communication. So feedback is very much required in the case of the whole process of communication. You can do your self-assessment by, discussing the various barriers in communication. You have to discuss the elements of process of communication. Then what should be keep in mind for the effective communication? And you can refer these books which are appearing on your screens. That's